What's good, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the What's Good Games podcast. I'm your host, Andrea, joined by my lovely crew here in the flesh in San Francisco. Miss Christine Steimer.
Hi, it's me.
Yes, it's you. And we've got Brittney Brombacher.
Flesh.
And Alexa Ray.
What up?
Welcome. Welcome back, ladies.
Yay. It feels like it's been a while since I've been sitting on this couch, like for the podcast.
It was last year.
I know. So long ago.
It does feel like a long time ago,
like
even
a
though
while.
technically it was only about a month ago.
I feel like anytime I'm away from you guys for more than like a couple of weeks, it feels like ages.
It does.
Aww.
And I'm always
That's
like,
really sweet.
I'm like, where did they go? Come back.
We went through like a 4-week stretch, 3-week stretch this time around.
Yeah.
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 What the
Long
heck?
time.
It's because we were away from video games, I think, as an industry. We were with family, with friends, celebrating the end of the year, the holidays, really kind of taking a breather from everything because this industry can feel so brutally fast paced. Like there's always something going on. Like it's crazy how PAX South has already
Come and
came
gone.
and went, right? Yeah,
Yep.
it's gone.
Crazy.
We
Boo.
weren't able to make it out there this year. Sorry to everyone who was in San Antonio. We are looking forward to PAX East in Boston in early April. I know some people have already reached out to us via social media and email being like, are you planning an East Coast meetup? Yes, we are.
Oh, yeah.
More details on that soon. But now, if you guys are new to the show, welcome. This is a game show podcast
About games.
where we play
not
a
a
game
game
show. No, it's not. That's not what I meant to say.
It was a good try.
It's a show about games is what
Yeah.
I meant to say. Where we talk about the latest news, where we give our commentary and analysis on it, and we talk about video games that we've been playing and that we've gotten the privilege to see, maybe behind closed doors. Maybe it's out for public consumption right now. It changes every week.
Yes.
So
That it does.
we thank everybody who's finding us for the first time. We've gotten quite a few new patrons over the last month, which has been
Yes.
fantastic.
One of us.
Brittney, we hit a major milestone.
We did. We hit 1,000 patrons, and this morning we're up to like 1,015.
Oh,
Mind
God.
I don't know where
blowing.
you're all coming from, but I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Thank you.
Yes, we're so incredibly grateful for all of the support. If you guys are ever interested in supporting us, you can head on over to patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. Throw us $1, maybe throw us a couple more bucks, whatever you can afford. We would greatly appreciate your support. And the community we have on Patreon is wonderful. They get some good discussions going. There's a lot of fun people in the comments. So if you haven't ever checked it out, please do. We also are still running a special on a piece of merch. Brittney, you orchestrated this.
It is called the Sealbando, ladies
Yes.
and gentlemen, and it is based off of Andrea's love for a seal husbando.
That's true.
Alexa and I had a really good time with that, and we played the Careless Whisper.
I love it. I think
And
it's my favorite moment ever on
yeah,
the show.
it was
ever.
fantastic. And you can find that t-shirt and what's the URL? The reason I can never get it correct is because I had to go through like 5 different designs, so the
Yes.
URLs have all kind of blended into one.
It's TeeSpring, so teespring.com/Sealbando shirt. Or you can also go to teespring.com/stores/whatsgoodgames. And if you're watching this at youtube.com/whatsgoodgames, you can check the carousel right below the video, click on any of those t-shirts or sweatshirts, and it'll bring you to our merchandise page.
Like
the
magic.
One, like the one
Yeah.
you're wearing right now.
That's
Oh, yeah.
correct. This is our Salty Emojis shirt. For everybody who's listening to the show, it's got our custom What's Good Games icon controller, a glass of wine, which, of course, we're drinking right now.
we are.
And a whiskey glass, which, of course, we're drinking right now. And the salt shaker.
Of which Steimer is.
Yeah,
that
Steimer
is-
just
it's
is
just
that.
it's just his eye. It's
Yes.
his eye.
It's his
Salt.
eye.
And if you have
Um,
shirt ideas, let us know. We're brainstorming a couple more.
Yes.
We will be putting some new ones on there
We
soon.
did have a fun brainstorming session with our after hours patrons
yeah. Yeah, we
during
did.
the Jackbox Party Pack session.
I want
Oh,
that Not
yeah.
Today Satan shirt so bad.
Cappy.
Cappy.
So
It was
good.
Cappy. So it was a scribbled Cappy, and it said, Not today, say in.
I think you and I created that together.
Yeah, I drew the Cappy.
And I had
Yeah.
And I put them together.
Team effort.
It was a group effort. So if you guys aren't familiar, there is a mini game inside the Jackbox Party Pack 3 where you can make drawings on your phone, and then there's a round where you type in slogans, and then it's up to another player to match your drawing with a slogan. And we had some pretty fun combinations. My goodbye forever with the farting sheep was also one of my favorites.
Was it a sheep?
It was supposed to be.
sheep.
That one.
Okay.
And the Can I Bang It was really good.
Can I
too.
Bang
Can I
it?
bang it
Yeah.
with like a really
Yeah.
strange smile, like
And that was
smiley
part
face?
of our after hours stream
Yeah.
that you can be a part of.
It gets real
$10
weird, but
on
it's totally
patreon.com.
worth it.
It
Sauce
does
Roast Good games.
get very weird.
Yeah.
You like
Fantastic.
weird? You're in the right place.
Yes.
Exactly. But without further ado, we are going to get to some news for this week. So another light news week. We're still, getting the flow going after the holidays. Not a lot happening here in early January, but we do have a few items to talk about this week. The first one, of course, we could not overlook. Final Fantasy 15 had some earth-shaking announcements. Well, that might be
Earth-shaking.
that
No,
might
that was
be
great.
hyperbolic.
Keep going with it.
The Royal Edition has been announced. So they also announced some details
Like a
about the
royal
PC
decree.
version, which was previously announced. So the PC version will support native 4K with a maximum 8K resolution
Jesus.
and
Ooh,
and
lot of
HDR. And if you download this for your PC, it is a minimum 100 gigabyte install, and it's 155 gigabytes with the 4K texture packs.
Enjoy all of your memory.
So
Bye-bye.
that's the whole
a PC
thing.
can handle that. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
But still.
So some other features in the PC version, of course, are the high quality ambient occlusion and advanced hair simulation, which I'm sure you're all very excited
I
about.
love hair physics in games. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah.
That's not me being sarcastic. If there are good hair physics in your game, I'm all about that shit.
Do you like move the character around and watch the hair flow in the
Yes.
wind? Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I do that.
It's an
'Cause it makes me mad when
underappreciated
they're-
animation.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I appreciate how difficult it is, and it makes me mad when like a character has crappy hair
And the hair doesn't move with them as they move
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
or like clips through things, and you're like, "Why?"
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah.
But they also revealed this new version of Final Fantasy 15 for PS4 and Xbox One titled the Royal Edition.
Oh my God,
So this
jeez.
bundle will cost $50 in the US. International pricing has yet to be revealed. Includes all of the added content coming to the Windows Edition. Alternatively, those who already own Final Fantasy 15 can buy a $20 add-on called the Royal Pack. So this includes all of that added content. So there is the most important thing that you guys really need to know about is that they've expanded the game world. So there's a new dungeon, there's additional costumes, and there's something else that is not listed here.
There
This
is.
is basically a Game of the Year edition.
It's a Game of the Year edition with more content.
okay.
They added
Nice.
they added more shit to do. There's more like weapon stuff.
3 new
And-
bosses.
3 new bosses: Omega, Cerberus, old school Final Fantasy villains, old school Final Fantasy creatures. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the PS4 and the Xbox One version are also getting the first person.
Oh, yes.
What's wrong with me? Persian.
I'm like, what's that?
First,
Yes.
I was like, Persian.
first person mode.
They
Oh,
are.
yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
I have some feelings about this first person
Tell
mode.
me.
Because I played this first person mode last year.
Wait, did you do it in VR though?
No.
Okay, no. I
That's-
can't remember, but you got sick.
That's the VR game. I did get sick in first person mode
Okay.
for Final
That's
Fantasy.
That's what I remember then.
At first, I was very excited. I was playing as Noctis, and I'm running through the field alongside my friends. And I turn and I look, and there's Prompto, and he's looking at me. And I turn and I look at Ignis, and he's looking at me. And then combat starts.
And then what about Gladio?
He was somewhere. I'm sure he was
Stop
there.
being a beefcake.
I'm sure he was there. But then combat starts, and the thing about Final Fantasy 15, if you look at how close these dudes get to combat, it's super first person combat where you get up in people's faces, but I was fighting
up
a
in their
bunch of
grill.
furry gorillas. So all of a sudden my vision was just swamped by brown fur, and I couldn't make heads or tails of where I was.
My vision was swamped by brown
My brown fur, and I'm like, where the hell am I? Hello? So I'm like flailing around. So I finally move out, and I see there's a warp strike point on like a cell tower,
Oh,
like
boy.
maybe 200 feet away in the game. And for those of you unfamiliar with Final Fantasy 15, Noctis's big super fun power is the warp strike. and he can warp
Ramming speed.
Yeah, and he can warp out of battle to recover, or he can warp between multiple enemies, which is really useful and cool, and he can fly through the air with it and stuff. So I was like, I'm just gonna warp out of here and everything's gonna be cool. Incorrect. I warped out of there and my stomach did like a super backflip and then left the planet, and I was like.
Yep.
And I was like, oh no, I will never play first person Final Fantasy 15 because I got hella sick immediately.
Well, what if you had played as like Prompto, who has the gun, right? Then maybe you wouldn't have been so crazy because you can now switch between the characters.
Right, but see, is first person mode available in all 4 characters though?
I can't
Would it
imagine
be?
it wouldn't be.
Okay, we'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
I'd rather be standing off to the sideline just pew-pewing than like warp striking.
Me too. I think because I would also get sick during that. The other thing is that there's the royal boat. What's the name of it? The royal.
I forgot the name of the boat.
It has an actual boat, but between Altissa and somewhere else, you can now like explore the waters on said boat.
You get to ride the boat now.
Is there like stuff?
Yeah,
on
I
the
think
boat?
so.
In the boat.
In the boat,
around
just
the boat.
4
There
hot
has to
men.
be.
No, I don't
Oh,
know. Probably
4 hot men in a boat.
Oh,
4
count
hot
me
men in a
in.
boat
Give me the
simulator.
boat.
I love a good boat simulator.
Give me the boat.
The other thing I'm really excited about is the Insomnia Ruins. It sounds like they're expanding the map with the older Chocobros.
Yes.
So you'll get to spend more time with them, which is something I'm very excited about because older Prompto is my husbando.
Because Insomnia Ruins is the end of the
I
game.
love
Right.
Andrea and I are like, what the fuck?
Your eyes are glazing over. We're like,
That's fine.
okay.
It's more just like you're
Like,
saying
I'm fine,
words,
I'm
and I'm
fine.
like, what language is this?
But then we also are getting more episodes too. So we're getting more
Right.
DLC, and the first one is episode Arden.
Yes.
And I wonder how soon after we get Royal Edition, episode Arden will be available.
Soon TM.
See, here's the thing: is I want to play through Final Fantasy 15 again because, odd as it is, the longer like the time has gone on after I played it, the more I appreciate the game.
Yeah.
And this has never happened to me with a game
Fine
before.
wine.
Yeah, it's like the more time goes by, like the more I just want to like jump in and play it again. So it's like I want to play it again, but I'm waiting until all this effing DLC is out. But they keep surprising us with content, and so I keep having
They're
to
like,
push
here's
back.
a little more.
Yeah,
Well, here's the thing. They've already announced that there's going to be more content packs
Yes.
coming throughout 2018.
Yeah.
Right.
So you planning to wait until 2019?
I might have to.
She
Girl,
might.
no.
Girl, she
No,
might.
no. I'll,
Girl.
For the Royal Edition, they added
Content
they,
serious business.
they specifically said that they were adding more like those little data logs. They're
More
adding more of
aliases.
them in easier to find places, answering questions about the world.
okay.
Because the big thing was like, we don't know what the hell's going on here. That was like the big criticism.
Yeah, okay. Well, I might not be able to because I wanted like to do a whole nother like start to finish playthrough, but that's not a short game.
No,
So that's why I'm like,
No,
I'll
it
just
is
wait till
not.
everything's done. And it's like, well, it sounds like I'm not going to be able to
it's
do
never
what?
going to be done,
You
Brittney.
love
We're never going to
playing
be done.
kind of
old
okay with
games,
that,
though.
actually.
So maybe in like 20 years you'll go back and play it.
'Cause all the
and
DLC will
it'll
be done by then.
Yeah,
With
exactly.
your children, and you'll be like, back in my day,
Back
we
in
had
my
to
day."
wait 5 years for all of Final Fantasy 15 to come out.
No,
And the
sounds
kids
right.
will be like, "Where's every game is service based now, Grandma?"
Oh,
Grandma, that's just how
Grandma.
things are.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm welcoming of
Oh my
this.
God.
I
of
will
this.
say, I think it's interesting that they're allowing people to do an upgrade. I think it's good. I think it's
Yeah.
a way to show fans of the game who paid, their $60 for the original version, like, hey, we want you to be able to experience this new content without feeling obligated to buy a whole new version of the game.
But it's also the fans who spent $60,
And
$25
then
on the first season pass.
And now it's another 20.
And now it's another 20.
That content better be worth
That's
it.
a $100 game now. Final Fantasy 15 costs $100.
But that's not abnormal. That's not outrageous to me because so many games do that now. So
And-
many
but I've-
games have enough add-on content that if you're an early adopter, you're always going to pay more. I think
Yes,
about how
you
much
are
I
always gonna pay
paid
more.
for
Right.
Destiny and all of their expansions in the first version, like between the initial 2 expansions and then the third and fourth expansions of that game. By
Right.
the time I was said and done, I had 6 Destiny discs floating around my house. And I had spent over $150 on that game.
I just think
This
it'd be
is-
probably more fair if it was like $10 though, because like these
Yeah.
people already got. Let's see, or if it was 20 and that includes the season, like basically make even more tiered options. Like if you already bought the game and bought the season's pass, like this extra content is just a tiny bit more for you because you've already put in a
I
lot
don't
of money.
think that add-on is restricted to people who bought the season pass originally. I think if you just
Yeah,
based
you
off
can
what
just
I've,
get it if
Yeah, based
you're-
off what I've read here, if you just bought the base game, you could now get all of the extra DLC that's already been released for that $20
Oh,
price.
fuck.
Correct, which is
God damn
great.
it.
But I'm saying, what if I bought the game and I bought the season's pass, but I want like the little bit of extra that's coming out
Right.
here?
Yeah.
What about those people? They still have to pay $20.
Another $20.
That's what I'm like. It would have been nice if they had done another tier.
Yeah,
that was slightly
pass
cheaper.
Doesn't mean you get everything,
right? And this is
No,
like
I know
new.
it doesn't.
No, I know you do. I'm just saying in this day and age, I think a lot of people still think that they're like, hey, season pass, I'm set to go for this game's lifespan. It's like, oh no, baby girl.
They do need to rename it a little bit. Like it does because I think. Yeah.
Current season pass V1.
And this is like new. Excuse me, I just burped into the microphone. This is new for. This is new for Final Fantasy. This is new for like the big JRPGs in general. So I feel kind of like, yeah, I'm like a little salty about it, but like I'm looking at all you guys with your Destinies and your Battlefronts being like, hey, I don't have to deal with this problem, and now here I am, and my like
it's not really
favorite
that big
game
of a
is like.
It's actually
I just
kind
want
of
to be
a
able
nice
to like
thing to do.
Like I'll give them money because I want them to make more stuff and because I enjoy it, but it's like it's a lot of money.
Yeah, unfortunately I like this game so much that I can't be like too upset about it. Like there's a little principal meter in the back of my brain that's kind of like blaring off right now, and I'm like, oh, it's fine. I'll just give you my money. But I'd be curious, Andrew, like what do you? So you don't think this is crazy, abnormal?
No,
fine.
Not abnormal.
I don't
totally fine.
I'm not shocked by this at all. I think that the amount of content that they're adding seems to me like they're giving value for that dollar, which frankly a lot of developers are not. A lot of developers are charging a lot of money for very little content. And based off your guys's commentary on the DLC packs that have come out, seems like those are adequately priced. Seems like the season pass itself was very fairly priced. You get a substantial amount of content.
Yeah, you got
for that price
3 episodes and a fucking multiplayer expansion.
To me, like that's like a $39.99 season pass expansion, right?
20 something.
Wasn't it $24.99?
One or the other.
Let me look.
$25.
Was 25.
But I'm interested in playing more of this. I played a substantial amount of it in preview events before the game originally launched way back when. But I did not spend any time playing this. I watched John play a lot of this game. But I just like when it came out, it was not something that
you
I
didn't
was
want to drive
in.
around with your bros.
You don't want to have your heart ripped out of your chest and then stomped all over and then put
ugly
back and
sob.
then taken out again and stomped all over
that far.
and then kicked out the window.
I don't know if it would have affected me that way since I don't have a history with the franchise, but
these are brand new characters.
They're all different.
They're all
Every
different.
Final Fantasy is different. So it's like
There's no
there's no
continuous story. There are continuous.
There are themes
principles.
and elements,
Crystals.
like crystals
Exactly.
and chocobos and Gilgamesh.
How long has it been since we've had a Moogle? Like a real...
No, the Moogle in this one was a stuffed Moogle.
I know, but it doesn't count.
The last real Moogle was
The
it
last
9?
real
No,
Moogle.
10?
That sounds like a movie.
13-2,
right?
13-2,
okay.
fucking Mog. The shittiest Moogle.
Mog the Moogle.
it was $24.99 the season pass.
Good King. No, wait. Final Fantasy 14 has Good King Moogle Mog.
Good King.
That doesn't sound like a real name.
Does not. It sounds made up. You made
It's
that
real.
up.
I didn't make it up.
It
Final
is.
Fantasy, everybody.
Okay, so we will obviously report back once these ladies check out this new expanded zone, the new dungeons, the new bosses, etc.
Wait, when's it coming again?
March 6th.
March 6th.
Oh, yeah.
That is when the Windows Edition and the Royal Edition will both be releasing.
Maybe I will finally play the Royal Edition.
Yeah.
Do it. Join our little band of band.
I've never finished a Final Fantasy.
That's fine.
Yeah. No,
I've
no
played.
judgment.
I don't judge
I've
you for
played
that.
the beginnings of a few of them,
I don't.
and I'm
judge you
at
for
the
that.
very end of 10, and I just didn't even. I just was like,
Couldn't cross the finish line.
couldn't cross
do
the
it.
finish line.
10 has the most brutal, like the suite of boss fights that you encounter. You have to fight like the giant penis like 4 different times. Sin looks
Oh
like
my
a penis.
Oh my god.
Like this video if you agree with me. He does, but you fight him like 4 different times, and you fight another guy twice, and you fight another thing.
No.
It's like this stacks, and you can save in between them, but it's just the stack of battles. That was the last great Final
I don't like
Fantasy ending, I
that.
think.
Well,
We'll talk about it
Fantasy
later.
10, yeah.
We'll talk about it later.
speaking of downloadable content, season passes, and add-ons for
Hit me with
games. Our next story, Assassin's Creed Origins, is getting some of these things. So we previously knew that
More
they
Abyssal
had
horses?
announced
The Abyssal Stable.
There are new
All on
announcements
fire.
coming. The Discovery Tour is something that was previously announced for Assassin's Creed Origins.
right.
So it's
Yeah, like the
technically
learning
called
thing.
Yes, exactly. The learning thing, Steimer. Discovery Tour by Assassin's Creed Ancient Egypt. So this is a new educational mode of the game that lets everyone from players to history enthusiasts and non-gamers choose between free roaming the beautiful world of ancient Egypt to learn more about its history and daily life, or embarking on guided tours curated by historians and Egyptologists. People can discover and explore a world free of conflict, time pressure, or gameplay constraints, where storyline and quests are not active, and the world of Egypt evolves into a combat-free living museum. So when we first saw this, I thought it was an incredibly smart move by Ubisoft to take the extensive work done by not only their artistic team, but their history and research team and their writing team, because they have put so much, not just into Assassin's Creed Origins, but previous Assassin's Creed games as well, and making sure that they're historically accurate, or they have, you know, purely factional like tidbits of information peppered throughout the world to kind of really flesh out the world of Assassin's Creed. And so this is a really cool thing that they can use in classrooms to teach kids about ancient Egypt in a way that feels very like 21st century. So I think that's cool. So that is coming on February 20th for you playing Steam on Windows PC, and will be available as a separate purchase for $19.99. So you don't even need to buy the game. You can just buy the Discovery Tour. And then they've announced 2 DLC packs, the Hidden Ones, which is a story-driven expansion that builds upon the growth of the Brotherhood. Of course, Origins being the origin story of the Brotherhood.
Hence Origins.
Duh. So it takes players 4 years, which is quite a jump in time after the events of Assassin's Creed Origins. Well, they'll clash with an occupying Roman force in a new region of the world, the Sinai. The expansion will increase the level cap to 45, up from 40, allowing players to continue to upgrade and customize their character. 4 new legendary weapons, a new outfit, 2 new mounts, and multiple
good?
new
Do they say what
levels.
they are?
Too.
They have not announced it.
Okay.
So that'll be $10.
Can I write a magic giant hippo?
Maybe.
A
That would be
magic
awesome.
hippo.
A magic giant
Magic,
hippo.
magic.
Or included for season pass
They
owners.
run really funny.
That's why
they
it'd be
do.
amazing.
That's why it's
They
magic.
seem-
That's why it would be
They
great.
seem inefficient though.
Are you making a hippo face, Brittney?
They're-
What's happening?
Their mouths are like this, and then
And then they
chasing
run-
after you.
I mean, they want to eat you
like
real
not-
bad.
I do like how they run after you with their mouth open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They're
also
ready to
run after-
chomp.
Yeah.
Alexa,
I also run after people I want to attack with my mouth open.
Ah!
That's how you know I'm ready to attack. It's battle
God.
stance.
I know I'm ready to attack.
The educational
So
mode
if you
where they're
ever
like,
see me and I run at you with my mouth open, guess what?
you know what's up. You know what's about to happen. You're about to get
Gonna
chomped.
Get hippoed.
Um,
HIPPO apostrophe D.
Hippoed.
Hippo.
but
Continue.
in the educational mode, I'm like, technically, it's not educational to have the animals not attack you. But there's no combat mode in this. So do they strip all the animals out, or are you gonna walk up to a lion? Is it gonna be like just chilling there?
It'd probably be more like a zoo.
I mean, that would be
Oh,
cool
there
if
you
you can
go.
like walk up to a crocodile and it's like the crocodiles of Egypt ate a
Would
lot of
eat
people.
you.
Yeah, or like whatever.
The hippos
you move
really don't
on.
go near those. They will run at you for 20 miles.
Yeah, I wonder if you're just kind of a ghost meandering through Egypt. Like
Yeah.
you don't really exist. People really won't talk to you. You can just kind of like be there and
Oh,
like,
maybe, yeah.
check out
Well,
things.
Can't you do it when they first showed this to us at the Assassin's Creed Origins event? Didn't they say you could play as you could do it as Bayek or Aya?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
Interesting.
cool.
So you control your character walking through the world, but then there'll be specific spots where you can stop and read literature about what you're looking at, like in the Sphinx, for example, or in the pyramids and other places.
I think
But-
that's so cool.
I would like,
Yeah,
I
it's
would like to
neat.
see the guided tours to see what they're going to do
Yeah,
with that.
man.
I think that'll be really cool.
I think I talked about this a few podcasts ago, like a while ago, but we studied Egypt and the history of all that stuff when I was in middle school, and we had to read out textbooks, and we mummified a cat. And
What?
You mumma.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
pretty-
you did
did I
tell
tell-
you
I-
did tell us this, and then I was like, "Are you sure you mummified a cat? Because that's
No, we buried it and
that's-
everything outside. I'm not kidding.
But did you like remove
don't
its
you-
brains and then mummify it?
I don't remember. All I remember
yeah,
is
like you have to like scoop the brains out with a
Through
really
the nose.
long.
maybe that
yeah,
part
through
was
the
already
nose.
done. I'm not sure. All I know is
So
the
what did you do?
thing-
Just wrap it in like cloth and say
Wow.
you mummified it?
School in Washington.
I don't
weird.
remember.
I went to school in Washington State. We did not do this.
It happened. But how cool would it have been if my teacher's like, okay, instead of reading like textbooks, like go play Assassin's Creed Origins in this like specific mode, and that's your homework. Hell yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That'd be cool.
That would
Yeah,
be
it's
awesome.
really cool.
Kids
Really
these days get
awesome.
everything.
I know. Spoiled
Little
brats.
shits.
Hey, we got to play the Oregon Trail. That was pretty cool.
That's true. We got to code our own games back in the day.
What?
Did you never do
I
that?
did not do
No.
that, but I did play a lot of Oregon Trail.
Oh yeah, I wrote a game in the 6th grade
What was it about?
in DOS. I wrote a game. Yeah.
Man, I didn't get shit in Connecticut. Connecticut, you suck.
It's because
Get your
all the
education.
You didn't
teachers
get the
were
mummified
haunted.
cats.
Everyone's
You didn't-
everyone's too busy trying to get rid of the ghosts that they can't teach their children how to do useful life skills.
They're like, you know what? The ghosts will figure it out.
Okay,
It's fine.
what was your game about in like a minute or two?
Oh, I mean, it was very, very simple, very short. So it was just like a black screen. I had a helicopter go across. It basically, I don't even know if I could call it a game. It was more
Helicopter
like just
hero?
writing a program.
Yeah.
Where like an animation like
That's cool.
happened. So I like wrote the code that would signal like this character to move across the screen, for like trees to be drawn in.
That's awesome.
But it wasn't like interactive in the sense that a game was. But yeah.
Very cool.
Dang.
Yeah, it was neat.
Meanwhile, Alexa was just trying not to get haunted.
Try not to get haunted.
Yeah.
Too busy.
Yeah.
North Dakota has great public education. So there was one more part to this story before we get too off track. The second DLC coming for Assassin's Creed Origins is called The Curse of the Pharaohs. So this is another expansion and offer players a completely new storyline to delve into as you travel to a region called Thebes to investigate an ancient curse that is plaguing the region. The Curse of the Pharaohs is the cause of the curse that has brought the dead pharaohs back to life, and this new piece
Oh, no.
Hold on. This new piece of
Ghosts!
content will
I'm prepared
increase
for this.
the level cap to 55, up from 40 where it is now. So this is
Jeez.
coming out in March after the first piece of DLC. And it will be available, of course, to Season Pass owners, or you can purchase it separately for $19.99.
It's only $19.99.
Everything's $20
Yeah.
these days.
So,
$20 is the new $5.
lots of stuff. I'm excited.
$20 is the new $5.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you excited for?
This. I
Cool.
want a reason to go back.
You want zombie pharaohs? I
Yeah.
don't know why that took me so long to get out.
That happens.
Take your abyssal horse through the underworld.
Yeah.
Did you ever figure out if you finished the game?
I did.
You did.
So here's the thing. Kicker. The credits do not roll. When you get to the final story mission, there is an achievement that pops up if you're playing on Xbox One like I am, and
Yeah.
it's called The End.
Oh.
But there's no credit.
No credits.
It doesn't do the credit
Oh.
thing and then dump you back like
No.
so many games
Keeps
do.
you in the world. So I
Oh.
believe you have to go into the menu to watch the credits.
Huh.
I don't know if there's something
Interesting.
later on in the game that triggers credits rolling. I would have thought that would have triggered the credits to roll, but it turns out after we had that conversation, I booted up because I was like, I feel like I finished this. I had one last little piece of story to finish, and it was mostly cutscenes, and then it came up at the end. And I was like, oh, that's it.
Cool.
All right.
So now I have all
Thanks.
these other side quests to do, public events and stuff to
Zombie pharaohs.
do. But yeah, very exciting. So that's some information about Assassin's Creed. Last piece of news for this week: Scribblenauts is coming back. So this story is via Game Informer. A new game in the Scribblenauts series has been announced for Switch, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4, which will come on March 6th, very soon, focusing primarily on multiplayer party mode, but the very familiar Scribblenauts gameplay. It's called Scribblenauts Showdown. It leverages the word-based gameplay of the series for 25 unique minigames that will run the gamut from slower and more cerebral puzzles to the action-oriented speedy games, all of which take place of the Scribblenauts 35,000-word library. It is up to players to be creative to play against their friends and family and emerge victorious.
Bum, bum,
The trailer
bum.
looked really fun. I watched that and I was like, oh, this would be fun to play with you guys. Like,
Oh, yeah.
especially, during one of our Patreon streams or something, like we're drinking a little bit and then you're like thinking of some crazy shit to battle with.
I wonder if one of
I'm
those
into it.
35,000 words is fart.
Oh,
Definitely.
100%.
Because
Yeah.
that
Oh,
will
yeah.
affect whether or not I play this game.
100%.
Yes,
There's
art is
fart.
in there.
It
It's in
better
there.
be.
It better be in there. I'm also excited for. It sounds like there's like the traditional sandbox gameplay, and up to like you can play with another person.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not just strictly into the mini games, you can do the story. I don't know if it's technically called the story or what.
Just
you
like puzzles.
Puzzles.
Single
Regular-
player campaign.
Single player.
with another
puzzles.
person, and I think that'll also be really fun too. I'm
Well,
excited.
And not only can you use the regular characters of Scribblenauts, but you can design your own Scribblenaut.
Oh my
My own
god.
Scribblenaut.
Just what I've
What?
always
What?
wanted.
Oh right. Yeah, I remember this came out on. God, when did this come out on?
It was like a,
2009.
yeah, it was a while
Wow.
ago.
It
And
was
I
on
didn't
the
really
Wii U and it was like a big deal.
I remember I played it on
The DS.
DS.
Mm-hmm.
What DS was that, Steimer?
I'm not the DS person to ask.
I think it was 3DS because I
I
remember
wanted
it
to
was
say
one
3DS,
of the.
but I'm not sure if that's
It
correct.
was DS.
It was one of the first games to come out for the Wii U. Was a Scribblenauts game back when everyone was like, "Oh my god, there are no games for this freaking console."
Yes, originally released on Nintendo DS, September 15th,
OG
2009.
That takes me back because I remember that was one of the first games I talked about on my IGN blogs, and that's so that like holy crap, that was in 2009. But
Also
I
came to
remember
3DS later.
3DS. I thought the concept was really cool.
Yeah.
But then isn't there another way you can either write what you want or you can just select like from a word selection screen, can't you? As well. And I think that kind of like sapped some of the fun out of it for me for some reason because I always like writing down the words and seeing like what would
come up.
what would come up and what wouldn't.
Yeah, because there's some interesting use cases with it. So like in the trailer there was a fire or something in it and they wrote Dalmatian and the Dalmatian was a fire dog and I'm like I would never think
To put a
to
dog
put
in a fire.
Dalmatian and think that it has a bucket of water and a fire hat on it and it's gonna put this fire out. You're like so it does go into some weird places, but I actually kind of like that.
Yeah, it's part of its charm because the two characters were playing rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
And so they would like choose the thing.
Basically trying to outdo
Yeah.
each other, like what would be what.
Super fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it looks cute.
And I'm
And
always
Switch
looking
is
for more
perfect
things. Yeah,
platform.
exactly. I'm looking for more
Switch.
things with my Switch. There
Yeah.
you go.
Indeed. Also announced this week for Switch, Night in the Woods.
I've already
Yes.
played that, so that's not as exciting for me.
Well, I'm
Night in the
sorry.
Woods is great.
I didn't like
Yeah?
the ending.
I didn't play it.
It is
Haven't
a
played it
DICE
yet.
finalist for best story, outstanding achievement narrative.
I disagree.
All right. Well, once I play it, we're gonna have to
Well,
talk
okay.
about this.
Salts.
I just have to say how I feel.
No,
That's
you're
all.
allowed to do that.
Don't hold back.
No.
Steimer,
Be
just
who you
let it
are
out.
and say what you feel.
Okay, I will do both
Because
of
the
those
people
things.
who mind
Don't
don't matter, and the
matter.
people who matter are gonna give you shit anyway because they love you.
Exactly. I like your version a lot more
That's good. That was good.
than mine.
I like that.
On that note, we are going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, we have some hands-on impressions for you of some video games that we've been playing. So grab a drink, take a bathroom break, pull over and I don't know.
Pull over,
just pull
Take
over.
a nap.
Just pull over.
I don't know.
Just
Wherever
pull
you're
over.
listening to the show.
Pull over.
We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. This is the What's Good Games podcast, and now we get to talk about some video games that we've been playing.
Video games.
Full disclosure, I have not gotten a chance to play very much since last week. I'm sorry. But we do get to hear from Miss Steimer about her real life game of PADI certification. So this was on the show notes last week, and we didn't get a chance to really talk about it. Mostly because I was like, I saw it in the show notes, and I was like, I don't know what that is. Maybe I should talk to her about that off camera in case it's something weird. Turns out it is something weird, but appropriate to discuss.
It is weird. I wouldn't put anything.
Would you?
I don't know. Brittney
I
and
mean,
I
I
have
don't know,
drawn
man.
body parts in the show notes before,
We
so
They
You
were all
have,
penises.
that's true.
Spoiler alert.
I
no
drew
other
a
body
butt.
parts.
No,
Okay.
so you
Yeah.
drew. Somebody drew boobs.
I drew boobs too.
Okay.
Boobs, but
We're so mature.
It's all about the TNA up in here.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So PADI certification.
literally.
So PADI certification.
So what does PADI stand for, Steimer?
That's a great question.
I don't know
forgot.
Let me look it up.
That part's not important.
I
What's-
have the power of the internet at
Yes,
my
you do.
fingertips.
The part that's important is that it is teaching me how to not die when I go under the water with a compressed air tank in a few weeks.
It stands for the Professional
Association
Association
of
of Diving
Diving-
Instructors.
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Awesome.
All right. So a few months ago, my dad, who was a Navy diver, was like, "Hey, do you want to come to Cabo and like dive with us?
Yeah.
Did he
Learn-
say it
learn
all
how to
weird like
dive?"
that?
No, he doesn't talk like that.
It's too
He
bad.
talks like a normal human being. And I was just like, you know what? I'm slightly terrified, but yes, because I've been snuba diving before, which
Is that the thing with the
What's
helmet?
snuba?
no.
Oh.
Snuba
Snuba is you have the not the respirator. The
oxygen mask.
it's not a mask. It's just the regulator.
Mouth thing.
Regulator.
Oh, the mouthpiece.
It's called a regulator.
essentially.
Yeah. So they have that, and then the tank is floating in like a thing above you, so it's not on your back. You don't have a lot of the gear. You literally just have the mouthpiece, and you can only go like 15 feet down. It's not like very far. And I did that, and I was really nervous about it just because my dad's really not good at comforting people, and he was like, all you have to do is make sure you don't hold your breath, because if you hold your breath you die. And I was like, wow, all right, maybe don't like say that. And he was like, no, that's the only thing you have to not do. If you hold your breath you die, otherwise you're fine. I'm like, can you just stop saying like the die part? Like, can you just like chill that part out?
Shit, Dad.
He's a little intense sometimes, but anyways, so I was like, you know what, fine, yes, like this sounds like an exciting thing, something that I would probably never do, and I might as well try something new. And obviously my dad will be there. He's a professional diver, so
That's
I'll be
exciting.
okay.
Take pictures.
Yeah, and Andrea, part of it is diving with seals and sea lions.
What?
So hold on. So like, what have you done so far?
So all I've done so far is taking the really boring online test, but it's a long course, so each thing is like over an hour, and you have like different sections that you have to go through, and it teaches you all about how air molecules work and like how your body changes as you go underwater, because the pressure changes when you go under, and like everything you have to consider, which is a lot.
It is a lot.
So it's like, okay, as you're going down, you have to make sure you're equalizing constantly, which if you don't know, it means like basically like kind of popping your ears and blowing into your mask so that all of your air holes are properly pressurized with the current pressure of the water. And as you go down, that increases. And then you also have to make sure that you're adjusting you basically wear like a vest that's inflatable.
Yeah.
And you have to keep that at the right buoyancy so you don't float up or sink down too fast. And then obviously you have to remember you don't hold your breath or you die.
This is entirely too much work.
It's so much, but I'm hopefully.
See, this is what you have to deal with if you followed your seal husbando into his seal husbando place.
I would never follow him there because he spends so little time in his seal form, which we have discussed in this show more than once.
I will say though, because I'm also PADI certified, and I've done maybe half a dozen dives in my day. It's a lot. But it seems so much more intimidating until you're actually like down there and doing it. And like the coolest part for me is when this was in, St. Thomas, I think it was. This was a few years back, where I had it figured out, and you just need to get in the water and then it all makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Where I was able to swim through a ship that had crashed, and
oh my god, you Little Mermaid it?
I Little Mermaid that shit.
And
it was so cool because I had it down to a point where, if you breathe, obviously your lungs fill with air, and then you can actually float. So whenever I'd want to like float over an obstacle, I just took a deep breath and I'd go up, and then I would exhale, and then down you go.
Ooh,
and
you're pro then, because they talked about that in the course. They're like, once you get the hang of it, you will be able to like adjust your buoyancy just with your breath.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you can do. It's not. I mean, I'm by no means no professional. It's just
but
once you get in there.
You get to that's cool.
It's a really cool thing. And if anyone's ever curious about diving, I would suggest, because it is really beautiful, and it's unlike anything you'll ever do, and it's really cool.
Yeah. The thing that I was nervous about with Snuba, obviously, it was like, you can die. But then the thing that happened was I saw.
I mean, but
I got
can
distracted.
you die from Snuba though? Because you're only like 10 to 15 feet down.
Doesn't matter if you're holding your breath. I even talked about it with the example of a balloon. If you seal a balloon even like 10 feet down and bring it up, it will pop. And that's your lungs. So if you're holding your breath, you have to think of it like a sealed balloon,
right?
And because of the way the pressure works under there, it's just like,
I've never been taught that analogy, so when you said that, I'm like, holy crap, they told you that. that's on the course. It's like, here's a balloon, here's what happens if it goes. Okay, I don't think that's exactly how it works.
I mean, you wouldn't explode,
right?
Sorry,
don't shit your pants over that.
No. But you can technically
you can get narked. I think it's called narked. Anyway, we're going down a rabbit hole.
Get the bends, man.
Oh god.
So I've got a solution to this problem.
Breathe. Yeah.
Never go underwater more than a couple feet. Bam.
That
solution solved.
But you can't see all the fun things under there.
It's okay. That's what cameras are for. Robots. You just put VR on, send the robot down. Good to go.
Live your life.
I'm excited to try this. It's definitely outside of my comfort zone.
It was outside of mine too.
Yeah.
But once you go in, then it's like,
I'm just excited to like look at stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
It's a fish. Please
Lex
don't be a
is
shark.
like, nope.
No.
Yeah,
no town
I'm good.
city.
No.
Nope.
I'm good.
I haven't been in the ocean since I was like 8 and got stung by a swarm of jellyfish.
Oh no.
Ow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
That sucked.
I
That
used to
sounds
go in the
crazy.
ocean all the time last summer because I worked like on the beach, so we would just go out in lunch breaks and go.
The ocean
go
can
swim in the
keep
ocean.
its shit. It's fine. I'll
All right,
watch.
that's
I'll watch
fair.
from the dry land.
Yeah, as somebody who grew up in literally the most landlocked place on North America, the geographical center of the landmass, I have no desire to be in deep water. I'm good.
No.
I mean, I don't want to go because I will technically have to go 60 feet down because that's a certification. Like you have to prove that you can do it and then you come back up. But the dive we're going on is not 60
And
feet
honestly,
down.
the shallow dives are the best because that's when you have the sun, you have all
Yeah.
the beautiful coral. Like those deep dives, it's just dark and stupid.
Dark and cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Why
other
d-
thing they teach you about, like your heat escapes your body like 4 times faster underwater.
Because the
This
certification.
sounds terrible.
You have to get certified, I believe, to do like
What?
certain levels. Like, so Steimer will be certified to go down to a certain level, and
Yes.
then she will not be certified to go down even deeper than that. And so
Correct.
they have to teach you like that range of
There's
depth.
different training. So like if I wanted to go even, which I do have zero desire to do, but if I wanted to go deeper than 60 feet, I have to take additional training. If I want to be able to use a certain, so they have different canisters with different types of air. They have regular ass air and they have like nitrate infused air, which is more oxygen in it than the average air out in the world. And in order to even use those canisters, you have to get specialized training because everything is so different underwater.
Yeah.
That you need to make sure you're not screwing it up.
That is so much work for something that you might accidentally die doing.
But I gotta figure, my dad did this for years. He did underwater construction.
It's honestly really okay. We can move on, but it's really hard to dive when you're scuba diving because, especially if you do like the shallow dives, because the sun is just the top of the water is just right there, and you do have a vest, and you can inflate it. So worst case scenario, your ears might like do some shit.
Just don't hold your
from the
breath
pressure,
and you
don't
won't
hold your
die.
breath, and you always have a diving buddy. Always, always, always. Like my first. Okay, never mind.
No, you're no. Yeah.
No, I don't want to scare you because my first dive,
Oh,
I didn't know this. The instructor didn't secure my tank down behind me.
Oh, Jesus.
But because I was with a buddy, they found out my tank was freaking like swaying behind me, and so
That's the other, like
Yeah.
the buddy I'm going with is my dad, and
Right,
he
right.
knows his shit. So
Yeah.
like even if I'm mediocre at best, I'll be okay.
you'll be fine.
So-
Yeah.
So, is your dad's favorite movie Men of Honor? Have you
We
seen
did
this?
watch that
Have
movie.
you seen this movie
Yeah.
with Robert De Niro and Cuba Gooding Jr.?
Yeah,
have
that was a
not.
great movie.
It's about Navy divers,
Yeah.
and it
And
goes
that
through like a
the
lot
suit,
of this
oh
stuff.
my god, when he puts the suit on, but not underwater because that shit's heavy.
Oh,
We used to
yeah.
have some of those old the helmet. I don't know if we still have it somewhere, but I hope we didn't get rid of it.
This has been fascinating. However, I misled our audience. This has nothing to do with video games.
Sure doesn't.
I'm sorry about that, but I thought it was
No, we're not.
interesting, and that's what Steimer's been working on instead of playing video games. So I
I had
thought
to
that
do
you guys
school,
would maybe be
guys.
interested too. Hopefully, you are.
Yeah.
But
Please don't die in the ocean.
Miss Brittney Brombacher has been playing Doki Doki Literature Club.
Oh wow.
So I know
What is it?
almost nothing about this
I
game.
still can't
I've just
figure that
heard
out.
that there's some weird stuff that goes
It's
down.
anime,
like
which
a
is
book
probably
club?
why you haven't.
That
So-
makes sense. Yeah.
So I have never played dating sims. Like I think this.
Is it dating sim?
It's it.
It's like a friendship sim.
Aha. But is it? So what I will say.
I started it after you were talking about it last week.
Okay.
Also, Steimer.
So
Do you want me to be toe up here? Because I will
Always. I
Okay.
always want you to be toe up.
let's toe up.
Drunk.
Oh. I get it. So this was like my first like dating sim. And, I don't know your name. I'm sorry, sir, but someone emailed us and was like, "Hey, I'm curious to know what you ladies think about Doki Doki Literature Club." And he's like, "It starts out like a normal dating sim, but things get real dark real fast." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm interested." And it says all over it like for
Go
What are you playing it on?
Steam.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
it's free.
and it's free.
Oh.
And so I played like maybe like an hour and a half of it on the plane right here to San Francisco. And it was like super cute and like happy and everything was like pink and upbeat music. And I was talking to Alexa about this last night and I was like, yeah, so far it just seems kind of like whatever. Well, then I was home alone in Andrea's house today while she was doing Kind of Funny. And within like 2 minutes, I screamed. Like it turned dark so
Whoa.
fast, and I was like, "Rah!" And I
Did you
scared her
freak the
cats.
cats out? Yeah.
I scared her poor cats that were like peacefully sleeping on the couch. And I can't say anything without spoiling it. But after like an hour and a half, 2 hours ish, like holy crap! And it does something that I've never seen a game do before, and I was like laughing to myself like out of like amusement. I was like, holy crap, they're doing this. This is crazy.
What is that thing?
I don't want to. I
can't
can't
say
say
it.
it.
This description on Steam reads, "The Literature Club is full of cute girls. Will you write the way into their heart? This game is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed."
Or those who are easily
disturbed is the key word there.
That's the description.
There is like an element of poetry in this, and as someone who's like admittedly never really been into poetry, I found myself very like entertained and like, what's the word I'm looking for? I was really into their poems is what I'm trying to say. And then the game does a thing, and then you just see everything through different eyes, and then you're just like, holy shit, this is dark and effing twisted. And there are a few moments that I like jumped and yelped and screamed by myself in Andrea's house.
So what would you say like the theme of the game is?
I honestly, I don't know if I can tell you, because it's not a dating sim.
Yeah.
It's not. And it's,
Now I want to play it. How have you been playing it so far?
it maybe took me like 3.5 hours.
Oh, okay, so it's little.
4 hours. I think it's over. I don't know yet. Because
you
of
think
reasons
it's over, but you don't know.
I can't. Yeah, and I can't say why because it would spoil the
It's
entirety of the game.
it's like you're the end achievement you weren't sure
So
if you got.
yeah, just know like there are choices you make in it. Like you have to design your poem by selecting a bunch of different words.
Ooh, you get to make
and
poems?
every girl likes like a certain word, and so a theme of words, and so you go by that and you impress a certain girl.
Oh,
And
so you're just writing poems for women.
I
I mean, not just. Sorry,
no,
that
and
was
you
like a
you only do that by selecting the
oversimplification.
words, and because it's my first playthrough.
So it's like refrigerator poetry?
Sure, there you go, perfect. Because this is my first playthrough, I'm not sure like if it matters on who you woo first. But if you have a few hours, it's basically an interactive story. There's not a lot of choices you get to make. I mean, there are, but like in the grand scheme of things, you're just kind of in it for the story. Very interesting. I would encourage a lot of people to play it if you think you might be interested. It's dark and twisted and messed up.
That
really,
sounds great.
really messed up. But yeah, I like that
I
kind
will
of shit.
definitely try this.
Do it.
Mostly because it's short.
Yeah.
If it was like, this is really messed up and weird and it's 15 hours, I'd be like, no, thank you.
No, I finished it with a flight from
It's a little too
San
much.
Francisco, from Seattle
It's
to
a
San
little too much for
Francisco
you.
in like an hour and a half at Andrea's house. So
Perfect.
yeah,
Cool.
That's awesome.
it is awesome.
Alexa Ray, you've been playing the DBZ beta.
Dragon Ball
Trunks,
Fighters.
Briefs, husband.
Not Fighter Z, Fighters. I
Why
made,
don't they
Fighters.
just
I
make
made
it
this
one
Dragon
mistake.
Ball
word?
Fighters.
Yes.
I don't like it. I don't like the way they did it.
Dragon
It's
Ball
confusing when you look
Fighters.
at it on paper, that's for sure.
Especially because it's called Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Fighters.
No, I
Fighters.
meant like the show.
So Dragon.
right?
Oh,
That's
I
one
got
of the
And it's like-
series.
Oh, fuck. All right.
That's okay.
I
But
don't-
I know.
I don't know the
It's
answer.
Dragon Ball Z,
confusing.
Dragon Ball
It's
Fighters
confusing.
Z.
Yeah. I
So-
would think it would go in the same naming convention, whatever. But no.
So
Nope.
we've talked previously about how Alexa Ray is a hidden fighting game savant.
She is.
Hidden.
What do you think about the beta so far?
So beta ended today, so it was the last day, and then the game comes out end of next week, maybe. Bip. So I think that for talking to fighting game fans first and anime fans second. So you all the fighting game people can leave after I make this statement. I think
been excused from the
I
table.
really like that this is the first, like, I love that they took the Dragon Ball IP and made it a 2D fighter. I really like 2D fighters. And I thought the beta was really well balanced in terms of characters, with the exception of one.
Was it Goku?
No, it was fucking Boo.
Really?
Boo.
Majin
Buu?
Yeah,
Or
Boo. Boo. It's Majin Buu.
Big balloon Boo or little
Kid Boo.
Kid Boo? I think that's
Boo.
just Boo.
It's Boo.
Okay.
Majin
Boo.
Kid Buu.
Or is
Hey,
that-
boo boo. Sorry.
Sorry, I'm getting
Different
my
Boo.
Majin
I know.
Boos confused.
I just had. To
I
make
get
the
them
joke.
confused all the time because I call the little skinny one Majin Buu.
Okay.
And I call the big one Kid Buu because he's big and round and sweet. And I'm a terrible Dragon Ball fan because I keep mixing them up.
So I think Majin Buu is just the really big balloon Boo.
Yes, he is the big one,
And
but I
then-
call him Kid Buu because he acts like a
He's a
kid.
kid. Got it.
I can't. Come on, Dragon Ball, you confuse me with all of your things.
Your vegetable themed characters.
Yeah, no, I mix them. I mix him up constantly. So, Boo is you can get near. There's a way that you can trick the game when you're using him to get. He's so powerful. You can get near infinite combos. So if you're playing as him, you can walk into a fight with Goku, who's actually the fighter that I would tell people who are new to fighting games or who want to like ease into this, like start with Goku. He's very easy to learn. But Boo just comes in, and like once you get a hit in, it's very easy for you to quickly get another hit in and just chain, combo, and just completely trounce the other person. So I think some balancing needs to be done before we get to release. All the other characters I felt were really like were okay, and I felt like they're all very distinct, except like Goku and like Cell play kind of a little similarly. So I guess you could also start with Cell if you feel like it.
Does Cell make the squishy noise when he walks?
No, I didn't listen for it.
Oh, you should.
But I played Cell in a demo a long time ago. I didn't play him in beta, but start with Goku.
Okay.
Boo, don't know idea what's going on there. I do appreciate, now I'm speaking to the anime fans. You can leave, fighting game people.
You can
Don't
swap.
leave.
You
You
can
can
leave.
stay.
Swap.
They did a really good job, and you will appreciate this, Brittney, because you watched all of the original Dragon Ball shows.
Is Trunks a Dragon Ball person?
Trunks is a Dragon
Okay,
Ball
just making
person.
Makes his
Yeah,
first
okay.
appearance in Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
Purple-haired wonder.
Trunks is the guy that
Oh.
everyone wanted. He was the most bangable
If
Dragon
you were
Ball
a teenager
character.
and you
The
had
most
hormones,
eligible
which you
bachelor.
were.
The most eligible
bangable
bang
character.
chiller.
Bangler.
Except he wore his pants up way too high,
mo-
but I
yeah.
guess they all did.
The
It's fine.
most eligible bangler.
That was
Trunks.
oh man, there were some really bad pants in the when we grew up.
Yeah.
There were some bad pants.
Jinko jeans.
Bad pants, bad anime pants. So
Totally
they
had those.
So depending
I did
depending on what characters are on the battlefield, depending on what your team, you can have a team of 3. So depending on who's in your team and who you're fighting and what stage you're on, different combinations trigger different cutscenes that call back to moments in the anime. Like if you have, like, for example, if you're fighting I think it's Cell. Yes, you're fighting Cell as Goku, and Krillin is not on your team. It starts with a cutscene where Cell just brutally murders Krillin.
Fudge! No!
And if you're playing as Goku against Frieza and you win, as Goku flies away, Frieza does the thing where he's like, no, like, I have to beat you, and then gets in one last attack, and then Goku turns and just obliterates him. And it's the cutscene, and it's only if you're doing Goku and Frieza. If you have, like, things change if you have, like, Android 18 and Krillin in play. Things change if you have it's
Have you done a Trunks Frieza fight yet?
No, I didn't
I'd be
get a
curious
chance
to know.
to, but
Okay.
I would really like to. But it's like they put in all these little extra nods to the anime and like moments from the anime. So I am if you have like Krillin on your team and the androids, like the head of and you're fighting Cell as Krillin, like Android 18's like disembodied head, like, or his like tells you like you have to go fight whatever. Like it's all these small little things
Ooh.
that that you can trigger.
See, and that makes me interested in the game because I'm not a fighting game person as much as I love like that series. It's like, but like knowing that's in there,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's a fun little nod.
It's really cool. I remember being really excited seeing this on the Xbox stage. 1, because there was anime on the Xbox stage, and 2, like it was just like I love that they're going that the action games that they've been doing for Dragon Ball aren't great. So I'm glad they just did a fighting game because that's what that anime is about. And I like that they really like this is a very good use of the IP. And I love when games with a very well-known IP show that not only does the developer know the IP and know the audience, they're not just skinning Dragon Ball in a fighting game, but they put in little nods and things for the super fans being like, you earned this because you paid attention and this is something that really appeals to you. So I am terribly excited
That's
to
awesome.
actually get the final version of this.
I'm excited now.
Yeah.
This might be my first fighting game that I ever purchased. Well, Smash Brothers, never mind. I've purchased that.
The
But
second fighting game you've ever
second
purchased.
fighting game.
I'm excited for it. It's super fun.
Might play with my dad because he and I.
Whoa!
I was getting
Don't
excited. I was
punch your
gonna
microphone off the
Punch
table.
microphone.
I'm all pumped up, dude. Fucking talking Dragon Ball Z. Want me to like go Super Saiyan? Just
Super
me.
Saiyan.
Super
Super
Saiyan.
Saiyan.
Super Saiyan. The blonde spiky hair and then like the aura.
I
of,
thought
like,
it was Saiyan. Is that not how you say it?
Saiyan.
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 Oh, I just
Saiyan.
Saiyan.
Actually, it's Saiyan.
But
Super Saiyan
Saiyan?
is when they power up and their power level goes up and they turn blonde.
and there's
You
different
turn
levels.
But there's
blonde?
also Super
There's different
Saiyan Blue
levels.
and Super Saiyan Rose and
I want
Ultra Instinct.
rosé.
You're not alone, Steimer. Many people out there have gone through life saying Super Saiyan.
Okay.
It's fine.
It's wrong, but that's what they've said.
There's a lot of things I'm wrong
That's
about.
because Saya,
It's okay.
the Japanese word, like it's Saiyan in America, but in Japan it is Saiyajin.
Yeah.
Saiyajin?
The Jin on the end being person, so it's Saiyan person when they say Super Sai or like Super Saiyajin or Saiyajin.
Are they all the original voice actors?
I don't know actually. I know that in Xenoverse they had one of the DBZ abridged people be one of the voice actors because they were such a good match. But I'm not entirely sure.
It'd be hard.
Goku sounded like Goku.
Oh yeah, same old guy. Oh. Okay.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
I really hope they add the female Saiyans from Super because they're really cool.
I've not met them yet.
And I hope they add Mr. Popo because I like Mr. Popo.
Love you, ladies. Thanks for hanging in there with us.
You look like Pippi Longstocking when you do that.
That was my rock band avatar, Pip,
Oh, really?
after Pippi Longstocking.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done being anime now. You can go back to your normal Western
we should
shit.
play it. I'd like to play it on like a stream or something, or maybe it's
Let's
Alexa
do
and
it.
I would.
Play with us. Play Dragon
Steimer
Ball.
and Andrea can just drink. It would be fine.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds
We'll
good.
be good.
I don't know if we have any normal Western shit to talk about. I have been playing Arena of Valor, which is a MOBA from Tencent on
Ooh.
iOS, but I
that's
haven't
right.
played enough of it yet to really give full commentary. I'm trying to be very cautious of how much I'm playing this because
Is it new?
It's not. It's new to the US.
Okay.
It was previously released in Asia, and it was very big in China. And I don't generally play mobile games that require me to be connected to the internet. I know, ironic, but I enjoy playing mobile games like when I'm on a plane or traveling, where sometimes my connection could be interrupted. So I generally like games that I can just download and play, which
Yeah.
there's not that many of them, sadly.
The Laura's Lost Phone thing was nice. For
Yeah, I
that.
love that.
Yeah.
It was
That
great.
was great.
But I will report back. But so far, really enjoying it. Feel like the glass controls, the touchscreen controls, are really well executed. Do feel like sometimes some of the menu systems are difficult to read on the small screen. Haven't tried to play this on my iPad, or don't know if I can play this on my iPad, but could be fun. I know there's other MOBAs that are very popular on mobile games like Vainglory, things like that.
Which is made right here
Yes.
in good old where we are.
In this room, where we are.
I actually
awesome.
spoke to the team at Vainglory back in my Yahoo Esports days. Very interesting game. A lot of people, of course, making comparisons between the two since they are so similar. But, Britt, did you want to talk about Xenoblade this week, or do you want to talk about Xenoblade next week?
The only thing I will say, because I know I'm not the only one who succumbed to this fate. There's no autosave feature in that game.
Nope.
Nope.
What year is it?
Yeah, that's
Nier
BS.
had no
That's BS
autosave.
garbage town.
Xenoblade has no autosave. The reason I'm not farther in Xenoblade is because I haven't had a long enough chunk of time to sit and play it, and I don't want to like fuck everything up.
Are you able to save at any point you want?
Can save. I don't know if you can save during the middle of a fight.
sure.
But yeah, other than that, you can save. But
Okay.
it's strange because I'm usually a compulsive saver.
Yes.
Yeah, you
but,
are.
But yeah, it's real bad. But for some reason with this game, I was so
Compulsive
into like the
saver.
story and what was happening that what happened, it was a few hours had passed, and I'm like, gee golly, I haven't saved this in a few hours. I should probably do that.
I saw your tweet. It made me mad.
Yeah,
also
so
saw your tweet.
so I opened my menu up, and then I got distracted by leveling up a character, and then I went to the save option, and the game just effing froze. The first time a Switch game has ever frozen on me. And I was like,
girl.
this is funny, but I also want to cry at the same time.
Don't-
So I had to force close it because I tried putting it into sleep mode, turning it back on. It was still frozen. I'm like, all right.
No.
So I force closed it, and I boot it back up. And I'm like, maybe I'll just start like 15 minutes in the past, because one of my biggest pet peeves in video games is when I lose progress.
Oh,
and
dude.
that's why I haven't started like
No,
the Dark
yeah.
Souls. And no, it had started me back a couple hours in the past. So I got really drunk that night, and I somehow made it to where I was, and I was able
You
to
were
play
like,
it.
save.
Yep, I was
Dear
able to play it the
developers.
next morning where I picked up, and it was like it never happened.
That's good.
Developers,
Yeah,
don't do this. Stop doing
No.
this. Stop doing this.
yeah.
Stop doing this.
The one thing that
Yeah.
this is a random tangent,
That's
but
fine.
for Horizon, the best checkpointing ever. So what happened? Like, it was the final boss thingy, and I got stuck in the environment,
No.
and
shut
I was
up.
like,
Like in a hill.
"Are you
or
like
something?
like behind cover?" Like I was just my
You glitched.
my character, I was
Yeah.
glitched into it,
Nice.
and I was trying everything and like letting him hit me, and I was just like, just get me out of the wall. Like, how do I,
Yep.
what the hell's going on here? And I was so mad because I thought I was going to have to start all over, but it checked, because I had just, actually, no, I think what happened was I just killed it and then glitched into a wall and then couldn't get out. And I was like, are you joking me? I'm going to have to do this whole thing over again. but I did not because the developers are amazing over there. And so what happened was I somehow managed to kill myself. I don't remember how I did it. I think I bombed myself.
Yeah,
like I
that's
just
usually
threw
how you
bombs.
do it in a game.
And then when it reloaded, it had just reloaded as if it knew that I had already done it.
That's good stuff.
And I was like,
that's what's good.
oh my God, girl,
job,
thank
Girl
you
Games.
so much because I didn't want to do this again.
That's what's good. But yeah. And the strange thing about it is I had completed like 5 or 6 different quests and it never auto-saved even after I did those.
What
So
the hell?
games
Just
should
be
have
aware of this,
checkpointing
ladies and gentlemen.
and auto-saving.
It's not hard. Everyone else does it. Why do you have to be all contrary and shit? It doesn't make us
It's
happy.
not-
It makes it harder.
It's not a charming.
No.
It's not charming.
Yeah.
No, I don't like it either.
No.
It's arbitrary
bullshit.
difficulty.
GTFO, non-autosave features.
Yeah.
Seriously.
No, even fucking Bloodborne like autosaves.
Blurred burn. That's how
burn.
you say that game.
Get
Blurber.
good, girls. Get good.
Oh, yeah.
Do you even play games?
No.
What's
No,
the
it's a damn JRPG, and they shouldn't be made that way because they're a damn RPG, and in
And it
hundreds and
takes
hundreds
forever.
of hours. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
See, because like sometimes
Why?
if that happens, it just kills my motivation to even play that game.
No, that's why I had to drink a lot that night. And then when I woke up in the morning, I was like, I had something to look forward to. Like I didn't have to. I didn't have to go to bed knowing I'd have to do that in the morning. I just was able to wake up and be like, oh, it's like it never happened because that's fun.
You just had to tell yourself that it didn't happen to
I
make
did.
yourself feel better.
I grabbed my dog and I grabbed some whiskey and I made a night of it.
You grabbed your dog. I just got this image
Come
of
here,
you being
Reb.
like, come here, Reb.
Come here,
Come
Reb.
here. And you're
Eight-
just like,
you 80-pound dog. I'm gonna pick you up, which I can't do anymore.
You could do that.
Makes me sad.
I think you could.
I mean, I did.
You
but
could
I
squat
pulled a
him.
muscle. I could maybe. I need to get back in the gym.
I could squat
Anyway.
him.
poor Reb.
Poor Reb.
On that note, it's time to take a short break before we go into our final segment of the show. We've got a special one for you, ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to take a brief break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. This is the What's Good Games podcast, and this special third segment of the show is brought to you by our What's Good Games Patreon producer, Mr. Tom Bock. Woo! Tom, you're wonderful.
You
Thank
are.
you so much for supporting us. If you guys are fans of Kind of Funny, you might have heard about producer Tom Bock. He is also a Patreon supporter over there as well. So we were discussing some topics with Mr. Bock, and one of the topics that he suggested we thought was pretty interesting, and we thought we could
Que interesante.
go around the horn on. So what his topic is about release window timing and how it could potentially affect sales. So he elaborated quite a bit on this topic, but I think the gist of where we want to begin our discussion is as games go to more as a service or online living, breathing, ongoing ecosystem games, is it possible that pubs would ever release more evenly distributed throughout the year rather than this big mess of games releasing all in the fall? He brings up some very valid points about the lure of holiday sales and if that's always going to be a draw, or if, you know, as we go to a more digital distribution, if that's going to not matter as much because you don't necessarily need shelf space in retail brick and mortar marketplaces. He mentions also specifically games like Dying Light that released in January and how that did very well in that release window, and if certain games maybe were negatively affected by their release window or maybe benefited from when they were released. We thought that this was a really interesting discussion because so many games have their release dates really kind of cemented and then they tend to shift, which has been something like release delays seems like something that we have to get more and more accustomed to in recent years than we did previously. And I'm not quite sure why that is. I would think that they wouldn't be as prone to delays because of the post-launch patch system that seems to be so ever-present in the production of video games these days. So thank you, Tom Bock, for this excellent topic of suggestion. Ladies, we have a couple of games coming out in January. Monster Hunter World is one of those games. Do you think that Monster Hunter coming out in January is going to help or hinder this game?
Help. Oh my
I'd
God.
say
If
help.
this had come out
Yes.
during the fall, it would be a
I
disaster.
feel like a lot of people lately have been saying, I don't know what to play.
Monster Hunter, there's your answer.
There you go. Blasphemy and Monster Hunter.
Yeah,
Plus your
anything
Monster
coming out kind of after the holidays that wouldn't traditionally do well during that time period, like, will have a nice boost. Like he'd mentioned Dying Light. Like there's always those, I don't know, you want to call them AA? I don't know what you want to call them. Like they're just slightly below AAA, and those will do really well in that time slot.
I don't think we have like release season anymore. Like
We used to. Oh my god,
I know,
hardcore.
remember?
Like even like what 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Everything in the fall.
Everything
just fucking cram it in there. We don't care because we just want it.
I love it
Brittney with the That's What She Said pillow.
Games like Horizon and Nier and like Uncharted Lost Legacy, and what else came out in spring of last year?
Lost Legacy was summer.
Something came out in May last year.
I'm sure it did.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Wait, no.
No.
Persona was summer, right?
Mario Kart. We don't talk about Mario Kart 8 anymore because it released like 5 fucking times. Get out of here, Mario Kart.
That's fair. Prey.
I forget Prey.
Prey.
They all had time to breathe.
Yes.
Like people were able to get them and be like, I'm going to play them because, you know, there's not 10 billion games come out, and it's not like, oh, I have to choose between, you know, the not maybe like the, not, I don't want to say casual gamer, but the person who doesn't buy every release every year isn't like, oh, I have to pick between, you know, purchasing Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed and Battlefront and Shadow of War and whatever. They don't have that problem in May. You don't have that problem in February.
Right.
So I think this has only like helped certain games get that time to breathe. Like I think if Nier maybe came out in October, nobody would have talked about it until now, probably. Because nobody would have played it because it was swamped by all of the bigger AAA stuff. So I think moving forward, that's the way to go.
I mean, it also depends on like when the game is ready.
Yeah.
And like I do think that not like publishers don't always make the wise decision to hold things that maybe it is ready, but it's not a great time to release it. I do think publishers still have a tendency to be like, it's done now, we'll push it out. And you're like, well, you know, strategically, like you could think of a better window for it to come out, and maybe you don't want to hit me in the leg.
I didn't mean to
Brittney.
hit you, Steimer. I was trying to roll with it like a professional.
I do think there is a
I've had too
danger
much
zone.
wine to do that.
She called me out.
What? Sorry, go ahead.
You guys are adorable. I do think there's a danger zone. Like,
Highway
yes.
to the
Danger zone.
And the danger zone is like mid, like past anything past November 15th until the end of the year. I think that's like the dead zone.
I think it's October. I think it's a little
You
earlier.
think it's earlier than that?
I would say if you've launched before Black Friday, you're okay.
Yes. Pre-Black
Sorry,
Friday.
I misunderstood what you were saying.
Yes. Anything after Black Friday through the end of the year, I think you're a little boned.
Got it.
Big
yes.
example of this, Final Fantasy 15, November 29th, 2016. And it got lost in everything. Like people forgot about it. I mean, it was too late to be nominated for any awards for 2016.
Yeah, they
and then
fucked
it got totally lost and forgotten. Like it got nominated for nothing for the 2017 award season.
Well, it wasn't supposed to come out then.
Right. It was supposed to come out in September, but it just got totally lost, and like people were playing it, but it also released like right before the holiday and over the holiday. So like the industry shuts down and people go home, and games media all goes home to their families, and people aren't like, it's not getting the same attention it would have gotten if it had come out in September and October. And I think that ultimately killed its first however many years of sales, and it missed Black Friday too completely.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna, I think you're correct. Like if you're gonna try and push it out in the fall, you need it before Black Friday.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what is the point? Just
Forget
hold it until after the holidays.
Right. And if you want that, you know, like a lot of these companies really like that award recognition is big, because someone who maybe hasn't played Horizon Zero Dawn yet and is seeing it get all these DICE nominations might think like, oh wait, I think maybe I should actually play Horizon Zero Dawn, even if they didn't win anything at the Game Awards. And people that like didn't play Persona, like, oh, Persona got nominated for Game of the Year, maybe I should play it now. Like,
Yeah.
that was the only one that came out in spring, April. Persona,
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Persona 5,
Also, another delay.
by like a bazillion
Yeah,
years.
I was like, yeah.
It's interesting the way that release dates shift. I don't necessarily think that December is like a complete like no fly zone. I think that we've seen some games have some success. A game like Far Cry 3, for example, that released in December, went on to a lot of critical success and financial success as well. I think that we need to take into account that a lot of these video game publishers have fiscal years where the month of December still falls within their fiscal, and so it doesn't necessarily matter.
Yeah, but
for
so does
them.
January and February. Fiscals usually close in March.
Yeah.
Right, but my point is, it's still better for them to get it out in December when people still have the opportunity to incorporate it into holiday sales versus in January when the bulk of the retail spend is over. Right, like people aren't going to retail in mid-January and like dumping, millions of dollars into the marketplace.
Mm-hmm. But if that was the case, then Horizon would have technically done better in December.
Not necessarily. Horizon wasn't in January though. It was in late February.
But I'm the point being just like more people would try and be shoving their games out in December. We don't really see that. I mean, it happens sometimes, but for the most part, I think people tend to avoid it.
Well, I also don't think we see a lot of people trying to release in Q1. I feel like a lot of games that are going to be released in Q1
were accidental leftovers.
Correct. Were intended for Q4 of the previous year, and they just didn't quite make it.
Yep.
And so they're like, March is the best time to release a game now. But March is becoming increasingly crowded, and because of that, we're seeing games either bump to February or push to April. Which is interesting because even like 4 or 5 years ago, which doesn't seem that long ago, when you think about like from a time frame perspective, those games, I mean, Q1 was still like very, very few AAA games were in Q1.
Yeah, I remember like reviewing at IGN, and when I first started, like there was sort of a quote unquote break, like because you would work your ass off in the fall, and then in January and February, like nothing was releasing really until summer, and then like there might be a few things, and then you kind of do it, rinse, repeat, and then things started slipping, and they started pushing, and they started realizing that hey, just because a game doesn't come out in November doesn't mean it's not going to do well sales wise, and then it's now, as Alexa mentioned earlier, like just a full year. You're using the whole calendar now,
good,
which is good because, for the love of God, spread it out. But it does mean that there's no more.
Don't you shake your heads at me?
Yeah, I know.
Brittney.
Sorry. Oh, Brittney.
Fall is now just like a crunch. It's not the season.
Yes.
It is not when all the things happen.
Yeah.
I want to also talk about the other thing that Tom brings up about the idea of games as service and more online living ecosystems in video games, and how even though a game like Destiny 2 had a big launch in September, does that launch necessarily matter long term? And maybe Destiny 2 wasn't a great example because they've been having some problems. But let's take a game. Let's take a game like Rainbow Six Siege. So this is a game that launched and arguably during its launch year did well, but has done much better in its ongoing living ecosystem because we're now in year 3 of a game that most people wouldn't have imagined would have survived beyond the 6-month mark post-launch. But they've done such a great job supporting that, and the community has really gravitated towards that game. And there's also games like Overwatch, and then of course we have some new contenders, games like PUBG and games like Fortnite Battle Royale that technically had like a launch, even though the launch was into beta, not into like V1 or whatever, even though I guess now PUBG is just into V1.
Yes.
But I mean, does the release date for games like that even matter?
For me, like Rainbow Six Siege, like Siege. Not something I would be interested in like at launch by any means, but like you said, like games of service, they keep releasing content, the buzz around it intensifies, and now I am actually like interested in playing a game like that. So that's like the perspective I would consider when you're talking about, does it really matter? To me, in Grand Theft Auto 5, like how,
wow.
I mean, look at that, for example.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
That's
maybe
true.
I should give that. I mean, it's years later, but maybe.
Had their biggest month in December 2017.
Yeah. So for me, I look at it from like as a consumer, if there's buzz being created around it and you're continually supporting this game, that buzz is going to intensify, then I'm going to be interested in it. And maybe I didn't play it at launch, but down the road I will.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been a game for you, Alexa, that you just completely did not care about at launch, but then you came back to and had a very active community?
No, because I don't play online games with people.
Well, that's fair, I guess.
Straight
Straight up, no.
Straight up, no. I don't play
games as a
online
service.
games. I play games as a me alone, like in my pajamas.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No.
I don't want to talk to people.
I think Overwatch is one that I've kept my eye on for a very long time, and I didn't buy it at launch. Actually, I think maybe I had a code. Anyways, whatever. I had it. I didn't play it until our Patreon stream. I still haven't played it since then, but like, it's one of those things where I keep up with that game, even though I don't play that game, which I think is interesting. Like I like watching their character reveals.
It's
I
like
like watching
it's like you're a fan of sports. Like it's like think of Overwatch like football.
I guess so.
Right? It's like you don't watch football.
But I don't watch their esports league. I don't care about
Esports
that.
confuses me.
Well,
I can't.
I try to
But
go with something there.
No, but I mean it's a
You're picking up what I'm putting down.
tangential analogy. Because technically there is like actually a league I could follow, and I choose not to do that. But I do follow the lore and like the characters, and I think that their world building is really interesting, and so it makes me want to jump into this game, even though I technically don't. So
Well, they make great cinematics. It's easy to follow along.
Yeah,
be drawn into that.
Those cinematics are fucking great.
They have really good character like design and development. Like all those characters
really
are like really well fleshed out.
And I this is off topic, but I just want to appreciate the fact that I do not play this game on the regular whatsoever. I have played it once. I recognize symbols for characters in this game immediately, and so would I would argue
the logos
most
of
gamers.
a sports team.
Yeah, I'm like the
Not giving up on
artists on their team are incredible, and so I just want to give. Let's do snaps. Let's
Little
do snaps
for you. Yeah.
Sure.
I wonder if it's gonna not so much come down to like release month, quarter, whatever, and whatever. But the more important part is when you release in terms of like other releases anymore. Like if you look at a game like I think it was Titanfall 2, right? It released a
right
week
next to Battlefield.
Battlefield and Infinite Warfare
bad
and Modern Warfare
choice.
Remastered were one of those. And I think that might be the more important discussion in the future we might have to have. Like, should you release between two major games? Probably
well,
not.
games in similar genres. Like, it would be one thing if Titanfall was like a JRPG or something, and releasing in there.
Yeah.
But because those have different audiences in general. But yeah, when you're releasing something that is so similar, spread it around. Don't do that.
One of the problems with that is that unlike similar industries like the feature film business, these publishers don't have conversations with each other about their release dates. Now, publishers will know within their stable of developers if they have games coming out, which is why the EA decision is even a little bit more puzzling, because EA knew when Battlefield was going to be coming out, and they chose to still release Titanfall when they did. That being said, with the way that these release dates continually move around because of delays or slips, it's hard to really kind of guess where, your big AAA blockbuster title is going to fall in relationship to your competitors. I think they can do a lot of educated guessing and work off patterns and maybe talk to partners and do the best they can to figure out. But at the end of the day, they don't have a very clear vision.
But didn't Titanfall 2, correct me if I'm wrong, come out in the fall?
Yes.
And so but the original Titanfall came out in the spring and did well.
It was a console exclusive though.
Yes, but I'm saying like did well, and what I mean by did well is in terms of buzz. People were talking about it because there wasn't a lot going on at that time.
Correct.
They should have looked at that and learned from that and been like, you know what, even if this game is ready in the fall, we are not releasing it in the fall, and we're going to do similar to what we did before.
There's
polishing.
There's a certain IP that always releases in the fall. It's called Call of Duty. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you shouldn't go against that.
I mean, they've had the
and
same
you're
release
literally
window
your
for
own
over 5 years now. Yeah.
Right?
Your own IP of
More importantly,
Yeah.
for sure.
Like,
do you think that there are any games that have released recently that you think would have benefited, besides Titanfall, maybe a game from last year or 2016 that you were like, I really loved this game and it went really under the radar, maybe if it had released in a less crowded window or released in a really dead time like a January or an April, that it maybe would have had a much better success?
I'm going to go on the opposite of what you just said. I'm going to say Mass Effect Andromeda would have benefited from being pushed again.
Yes, this is true.
That's not the question.
I
but
know.
Yes, I agree.
I think we all agree, but that game would have needed been pushed like a year in order for it to really benefit fully
Doesn't
from
matter.
a delay.
Don't
Yeah.
release it.
That's definitely not what we're talking about right
I
now, though,
know,
Steimer.
but I wanted to
It was
say
a good try.
Fuck
there
you.
were, I love you,
It
Steimer.
was a good try.
So there was a lot going on in September, obviously with my wedding and all. But the first game that came to mind was Divinity Original Sin 2.
Yeah.
I'm looking at what games released in September. You had Knack 2, Destiny 2,
LOL,
Who gives a
Knack
shit
2.
about Knack?
NASCAR, Pro Evolution Soccer, Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, NBA Live, NHL, Metroid, NBA, Pokemon, Project Cars,
There was a
Cuphead.
Dishonored DLC?
Yeah,
it was a standalone.
DLC.
It was a big standalone pack.
Ooh, that's my answer.
So it's like, could you make the argument that, I mean, maybe this is really silly, but you have Divinity Original Sin 2 that released right around the time Destiny 2 released. Do you think, I'm trying to think, like, would that hurt it?
I think that game would have benefited from being on console. I think the fact that game was PC only hurt that game a lot.
It's coming, ladies and gentlemen, but absolutely.
But not right now.
But that said, Divinity Original Sin 2 has done very well. But I'm just like, I was just really upset that it didn't get a lot of recognition at the awards. So I'm like, maybe that would have helped.
I think I stand by the fact that it was PC only really hurt it as far as awards considerations.
Of course.
Because you're really just like limiting your audience. And now the same could be said for console exclusive games. But there are, particularly in the North American gaming press, there's more attention given to console exclusives than to PC exclusives.
Yeah, that was an absurd decision because when that game released, everyone's like, when's console coming? When's console coming? And on their Kickstarter, they're like, yeah, we hear you. You want this. But when Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition came out on console, everyone loved it. So it was just kind of a strange decision not to launch it on console.
Maybe they couldn't. I mean, because you said they're a small studio. It may have just been like
not small, but they're not. I mean, they're indie, but
they may have needed the capital. Is what I'm saying.
It could have been. Anyway, I don't want.
I don't know. That's just speculation.
I don't know the stats and the numbers to say like maybe they could have held off until console was ready. Something to think about. That's the first game that came to mind.
Yeah, I think a game. I think there's an argument even to be made maybe for a game like Prey if it had come out in a time when there was literally nothing else around at the time, because it was.
When is that nowadays?
I mean, January, really.
Oh, I know. January's the only time.
I'd say April also is a very clear month for the most part. There's really not a lot
April, May, June.
Yeah. But it came out. But it came out in May.
I was about to say it came out. Like that's when it.
Yeah. So, but I think what was happening was in May, we had Switch had a bunch of games that came out. Mario Kart in particular. There was another big console game that came out.
I refuse to acknowledge Mario Kart anymore. You had your fucking
the problem
time
is I
in
need
the
to look at a
sun.
calendar for all of this.
Yeah,
I'm like,
we all kind of put 2017 in the back of our mind. And they're like, okay, wait, let's bring this back up.
I feel like fall 2016 was a giant cluster.
That sounds right.
Yeah, probably.
Because I remember being very stressed out and sad. Because there were so many
That happens
video
every
games.
fall because you're just like, there's so many video games. What am I going to do?
And it's interesting listening to you ladies talk because I feel like because you've worked in editorial or in the games media, you have very distinct memories of these super crowded months or quarters and whatnot. And because I've only ever done my own thing, I just got to pick and choose what I played and try not to be stressed about it. So I'm like, nothing's really standing out. So it was interesting to hear that conversation about like you saying you were really bored during a certain time and you saying you were like crammed out and super stressed. And so I was like,
I'm always stressful.
A game now that comes to mind, you speaking of being crammed and stressful, October 27th this year was a super crowded date.
Yeah, it was a
I
terrible
think
day.
Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus would have found a much bigger audience if it had released in a less crowded time.
Yeah.
Up against Super Mario Odyssey and Assassin's Creed Origins, I mean, it just really didn't even have a chance.
And and other and I mean that was just that one day. Like there was obviously other stuff coming out that fall. Yeah, Wolfenstein probably.
that was the game.
Poor Wolfie.
I mean, it got a lot of critical praise, which it absolutely deserves, but I still think that there's so many people out there that have it on their pile of shame or their to-do list because it just came out in such a crowded fall. I mean, 2017 as a whole was a really crowded year for amazing games.
Yeah.
And big games, giant open world
Everything's
RPGs,
open world.
And I think
Cry
a game like
yourself
that
to
could
sleep.
have definitely benefited from a much cleaner release window. But
But like you said, how can they, you have to take your educated guesses
yeah.
and hope for the best.
I mean, it's not that hard of an educated guess to be like, we maybe shouldn't release this in the fall.
So you're saying like if like two other major franchises are released on that day, like push your release date,
Yes,
and give
yes.
and give like a we need more polish excuse.
Yeah,
Got
you
it.
can make a bullshit excuse. It's been done before.
Yes.
Yeah, or you can just know that mid-October through end of November is always busy.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's tough because a game like Assassin's Creed's never going to move its release window because
I was going to say there are the juggernauts that don't move and people move around them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, Grand Theft, any
Call of Duty.
anything from Rockstar,
Yeah.
pretty much people are like, oh shit, we gotta move all this stuff around.
Maze and
Yeah.
Ozone.
Like anything from Bethesda proper, i.e. like a Skyrim or a Fallout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the big boys
It'll be
that
interesting
step
to
in
see
and
how
go,
changes and morphs.
all right, everybody,
Yeah.
you shift around me. I don't move.
That's right.
Yeah. I also think it's interesting the added layer of the transition from like closed alpha to open alpha, closed beta to open beta to full release, and how those like the actual concept of a release date is now kind of shifting. And I think we've seen
There's a lot of early access stuff happening now.
Exactly. We've seen that particularly with PUBG recently, all the way going back to massive games like Minecraft and how that game was in beta forever. Even a game like Overwatch that had an extended beta period, and the idea that like does like the release date actually matter. And I would say for games like that, I mean, there's certainly an argument to be made that no, it doesn't.
As long as you have hype building at a certain point, it kind of doesn't matter when that end date is, as long as it's not too drawn out or too short, you know? Like you gotta...
Andrea just reminded me of the worst release date snafu in like recent memory.
What's that?
Do you tell?
Battleborn, which came out
right
when Overwatch came out.
Everyone forgets about
like
Battleborn
at the same time
as
like,
all the other battle games.
so close to it.
I just
Got
remember the
crushed.
naming convention,
Yeah.
and I was like, why is everything called Battle something?
It got obliterated.
It really suffered from too similar of an art style to Overwatch. And Overwatch, just like the marketing machine behind Activision Blizzard, bought so much marketing space for Overwatch. Like they just got drowned out in the normal places where you would see ads for Battleborn. It was all Overwatch. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
I gave that game a shot.
That game was great.
Yeah.
That game was so underrated.
I didn't play
Yeah. It was really fun. Listen, that game, they finally, I think, have cut support for that game. You could still play it, but I mean, that was a game that the concept was a little too much going on for your average consumer to understand. It was a lot happening. Some could say that they bit off a little bit more than they could chew, that there was just too many ideas and they needed to edit themselves a little bit. It was just like so much happening at once that's like, no, you needed to like streamline the concept of this game. But overall, it was like a soundly built game with some fun game modes and really interesting and unique characters. But I think it was just not eloquently articulated or marketed to the point where like the average consumer could understand it. And that's something that Activision Blizzard is so efficient at, because they have a gigantic resource pool to pull from when they make their marketing materials. And they're good at it. Clearly, they're immensely successful.
Yep.
They are king of the $60 game as a service.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. But so Tom, this has been a really fascinating discussion. Thank you so much for submitting it. If you guys ever have the desire to be a What's Good Games Patreon producer, you can check out all of those infos
Infos
with
fighters.
with a Z, like fighters in
Fighters.
Dragon Ball.
There's a space and a capital Z.
At patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. We will be back next week with some more thoughts, and I will be playing some more Final Fantasy and some other games as well. And is somebody else going to play Doki Doki Literature Club and see what this is all about?
I'll try.
Yes, Alexa, you should.
Yeah, I need to finish it. I need to finish it.
Yeah, that one moment that happens, you're just like, oh,
I'm not there yet.
Oh, I know, but when it does, you're like, oh, we're going there. All right, this is no longer the game I thought it was. Oh, it's fascinating. You should play it too, Andrea. Try it.
It's got a
Or
Japanese
is
word
it-
in the title. I
I've
don't know.
got
It's
one
called Doki
Japanese
Doki. I
game
don't know
I'm
that
working
she's-
on right now.
No,
Okay,
it's like think of it as like
Let's
a
not.
novel
Let's
before
not.
bed.
Let's baby steps. Baby steps.
Just gotta tap the screen.
Any parting thoughts, ladies?
Doki Doki. Does that mean anything?
It's the onomatopoeia for the sound your heart makes, like thump thump.
Oh,
Doki doki.
Oh,
So Doki
Yeah.
Doki Universe is Thump
Oh,
Thump
now it
Universe?
just got way. Oh,
It's the sound of your heartbeat. Yeah.
think about that, ladies and gentlemen, as you go about your
now,
day.
if you've played the game, like okay.
Oh
But
shit.
Doki Doki is like it's not the only thing it's for. I mean,
Yes, it is.
Like the name. No, sorry. I meant what I meant is it's not the
Alexa,
only
yes,
game.
it is.
It's not the only. Like there's Doki Doki Universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like there's other. I just
Other
meant,
Dokis in the world is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
that is what
I
I'm
got
trying
you.
to communicate and failing at
No,
miserably.
I got you. All right.
On that note, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.